understood the spirit with which we are trying to promote multidisciplinary education at an undergraduate level with a very flexible, modular approach of allowing a student to leave and rejoin in keeping with the concept of lifelong learning to adapt to the changing world of work. Because as we predict, we are not aware with artificial intelligence, big data, and augmented and virtual reality, what are the jobs that are going to be redundant at a very short notice of time. The dynamic changes that are taking place require the higher education to prepare students with the 21st century skills of being able to have good communication skills, collaborative learning, team spirit, critical thinking, and cognitive abilities, so that they are able, with a number of bouquet of courses that they do, to adapt that learning with having that to suit the new requirements of changing jobs that may take place. That luxury is not the current luxury that we have, where someone reads that I have been in the teaching line for 39 years, is not a luxury that our future generations have. And we would be doing a great disservice by bringing out a policy which does not address the needs of the 21st century learning requirements. To make the students competitive, it is equally important, and also our higher education institutions, it is equally important that they become competitive by nature. And that is why we have tried to say that institutions need to identify as autonomous bodies whether they would like to become research-intensive universities or teaching-intensive universities. And the most major reform in higher education, for those of you who are familiar with the Indian system, is the gradual phasing out of the affiliating system, which has done great damage to the higher education system in the country. But that phasing out of the affiliation system is not by letting loose the higher education institutions to fend for themselves, but through a very conscious process of hand-holding and mentorship of the institutions to reach certain quality assurance benchmarks, acquire accreditation, and then move on in a graded autonomy manner to become autonomous degree granting colleges over a long period of 15 years. A whole set of reforms have also been said with regard to teacher education. There are constraints of time, but I would like to focus on one single point of internationalization and the need why we need to actually make not only our faculty and students and institutions competitive, but also be able to collaborate, because knowledge society and the Industrial Revolution 4.0 requires all institutions to come together as one common goal, as late APJ Abdul Kalam has envisioned, that the world is a global village and we need to come together to actually achieve common goals so that there is a shared space for entire global societies to improve and become sustainable societies. In that spirit, internationalization, by allowing for institutional collaborations and allowing campuses of foreign universities to set up their own campuses within the country and vice versa, becomes extremely critical if we are to look at the 21st century educational needs of the country. I'd finally try to sort of end by saying that the governance of higher education institutions holds the key to ensuring that these reforms become achieved in a very coordinated manner, and therefore preparing teachers for academic leadership positions and making institutions enjoy autonomy in their own spaces by laying down their own ideals and objectives to be achieved, but doing it in a very pragmatic manner is very critical to the policy itself. And so I would urge to read through the institutional governance aspects. I don't think it would be very relevant to talk about the regulatory system that we have, but the fact that we have recognized the public and the private institutions as moving towards common goals of providing a better education system. At the same time, the policy emphasizing for a strong public education system, and that education remains a public good, and therefore there has to be greater investment in the public education system, is critical also to the policy. Finally, I would say that we are preparing our young graduates to reduce the disconnect between the world of education and the world of work. And that is why we have a internship program to be offered as a national internship program, which has already been announced by the Honorable Prime Minister, that all undergraduate students, irrespective, and since they are all going to be multidisciplinary and they will be doing a bouquet of courses, all undergraduate education will have internship where the student would get exposed to how they need to deal with the work scenario, rather than suddenly completing a degree where the student has been in a comfort zone, not at all aware of the challenges that the world of work. And therefore, there is a seamless mobility, not only from education, but into the world of work. So the NEP 2020 is a path-breaking reform document, visionary document, grounded with pragmatism and expected to be implemented with the coordinated effort of all stakeholders, starting from the parents, for whom we envisage creating a module on how to deal with early childcare education when they are dealing with early childcare education in their homes, the students, the teachers, educational institutions, the central and the state governments coming together, each of them having to have a degree of preparedness. And like the former Secretary Subramaniam sir mentioned, prepare a kind of a development plan on how we will take this forward with what timelines. That is the critical part central to the NEP 2020. It is very heartening that the Government of India has approved such a major document with so many reforms. If it was itemized and split, the actionable points come out to nearly 350. So you can imagine the kind of work that is expected to be done in the coming, from the coming year onwards to a period of 15 years, with 4 curricular changes taking place at early childhood education, for school education, for teacher education, for adult education. And I need not talk about the emphasis of technology. I think it has already been touched upon by many speakers earlier. I think I would appreciate the efforts being made by Lead India Foundation to organize a webinar of this kind. And it gives me enormous satisfaction to have been invited for this webinar and to place before this illustrious panel what the NEP 2020, of which I have been associated since January 2020 till the current times, is trying to bring forward and take India to different level and achieve global heights, which will be received by the world in a very positive manner. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Shakila. It's wonderful to have you. I think we are blessed to have you, and India is blessed to have put you on that project as a convener to prepare this national educational policy, new education policy. I think all the points that you have touched are very relevant, and hope they get to be implemented in a smooth and nice transition way. So probably you may need to still, even you are done with that project, probably your engagement should be continuously there to see the fruits what you have created to reach the masses. Again, there's so many things that are part of this thing. Doing a POC, I'm sure you must have considered that in a mini scale before you scale up to the national level, and at every district level, probably you should have one model school set up with the model teachers well trained on this, use technology to the fullest, and preparation of these students' young minds. The world is looking for India's young minds as the new generation of working force, very young. This is the opportunity for India. Let's convert this adversity into an opportunity. COVID has really blessed India to really accelerate its growth, and they should really take care of it. I think there is for every bad thing, there's a good thing that comes of it. When small door closes, the big door opens. I think India has to wake up now. It's time. I think we have a right leadership at the center, and people like you, visionaries who really transformed. And Dr. Kalam laid out all of this in 2003, 2007 during his presidency. I think now we see the real fruits of it. I wish he stayed for one more time as a president. We would have really accelerated the country's growth, but nevertheless, it's not late. The environment is created in such a way India has no option but to grow. I think we are ready and we are ripe, and the leadership is working towards that with your kind of guidance. Thank you so much. MCs, let's introduce the next speaker.
1 minute.
Yes.
May I request you to permit me to ask one question to Shakila?
No, not sir, not now, sir. We are running late, sir. We will not later. Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry, sir. So let's move on. MCs next.
Dr. Hari Krishna Maram is the Digital Brand Ambassador and Chairman of Vision Digital India and the founding chairman of Imperial College, which has just celebrated their 13th anniversary. He has worked in the fields of management and education management for over 26 years. He has served as the governing council member at the All India Management Association, vice president at the Association of Indian Management Schools, and is involved with the Lions Super Specialty Eye Hospital and Lions District Service Foundation. Additionally, he is the chief mentor of the great initiative Bangalore Green, which aims towards environmental conservation. He has received many awards throughout his lifetime, such as the prestigious Knighthood Award from the UK. Let's have a warm welcome for Dr. Hari Krishna Maram.
Thank you, Keshav, for that wonderful introduction. And I would like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. Hari, Lead India USA, for bringing me here to share a few thoughts on new education policy here. And definitely, it is the most difficult task to come as the last batsman in a cricket. So similarly here, after listening to a wonderful inputs from my previous speakers and also Srimati Shakila for giving entire information, thoughts on how the NEP is brought to people. And I think with the 34 years of gap, with the three MHRD ministers, starting from Smriti Irani to Prakash Javadekar to the new MHRD minister now named as Ministry of Education, Dr. Prakash. So this is all a kind of a new initiatives because the Indian education system is one of the largest education system in the world with consists of more than 1,040 universities and 49,000 colleges, closely around 9,85,000 schools with 35 crore students, that is 350 million students. So, and every conference and everywhere we talk about the demographic dividend of India, where we have more than 1.35 billion population. Among this population, again, we have highest number of youth. That is the advantage of India, where we call as demographic dividend. So 58% of our population consists of below 30 age. So there is a need of this kind of education policy for a young country like India, because today, if you talk about the kind of happenings and the new education policy is talking more, as my previous speakers were telling, as well as our Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi was addressing yesterday, that this helps thinking process. So the thinking process of the people, because India is the second largest startup capital of the world. And this is, India is known as a Silicon Valley of the world now. So there are a huge number of startups in India, and there is a great ecosystem. And with these kind of things, and with so much the digital transformation is happening in this country, with more than 70% of the people are connected with the internet, where 90% of the people are connected with mobile phones. And recently, just a couple of days back, we celebrated 25 years of mobility, that is the mobile phone usage in India. And there is a great, tremendous scope and opportunity in the edtech industry in India, as well as the e-commerce and technology move here. So I think there is a need of the large reforms in this education policy. So this education new policy is definitely addressing all these, whatever we are talking, whatever relevant areas we are talking. This is the main focus in the education policy. That's why on the day of releasing this, announcing this new education policy, I was talking with one of the TV channels. So I was telling about this education policy is talking more on providing digital skills. That is what exactly our organization, the Vision Digital India, we are doing. And from last decade, we are talking about online education. We are talking about the digital education to large number of peoples across the country. But people are unable to understand what is the importance of online education and digital education. And now with just less than 5 months COVID pandemic situation in India, today I think everyone is realized that there is a great need of technology initiatives in each institute, whether it is a primary or secondary or higher education, to initiate. And this education policy also mainly focusing on these areas. So mainly talking about starting from artificial intelligence to robotics to analytics, digital marketing, and cloud computing. These are the main areas which the education policy is talking and focusing. So I think this is a great welcome move from the entire team who worked for this new education policy, from the HRD ministers to our Honorable Prime Minister to the policy makers, people like Mr. Subramaniam Reddy, the IAS, who was in charge during that time, and people like Shakila and the chairman of the drafting committee, Dr. Kasturi Rangan, Dr. M.K. Sridhar. I think they have taken a very valuable feedback from across the country, whether it is a rural or urban, from all the universities, from all the schools and colleges. And now they brought one of the finest policy, even though it is delayed. But now today we have a very strong educational roadmap for 1.35 billion people. I think with the coming days, with the goal of India reaching the 5 trillion economy by 2025, I think these new education policy will definitely enable, help to reach this goal. Even if we are not 2025, definitely we are going to reach somewhere within 1 year late, but definitely every Indian is confident of reaching these goals with the kind of initiatives which happening now in India, especially during this pandemic situation where 80% of the industries are panic, and so many countries' economy is in negative growth, where when the global economy of 100 trillion, there is a total 25% degrowth in this. So, but India is very positive with the kind of activities and initiatives which are happening here, the kind of new investments from different global companies which are coming to India, and also the main focus on the technology, the main focus on the research and development definitely will enable India to reach the 5 trillion economy, what we are dreaming. And this new education policy definitely is going to help. So these are my few views on this national education policy. Thank you very much once again, and looking forward for this kind of webinars for honoring the people's President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. I'm very happy to have associated with you. I appreciate all the good work you're doing, especially connecting with all the private higher education institutions. You've done an amazing job. Hopefully they all will cooperate with the new education policy and take all the necessary steps, infrastructure and whatever the preparation of the curriculum and everything. If it's a collaborative effort, as one of the speaker mentioned, private-public partnership and including the teachers and parents cooperation, especially this is a complex implementation India ever faced to reach every citizen of India. As you mentioned, 35 crore people, which is more than US population. So you're talking about, that's the numbers, and plus 2 parents plus teachers. Imagine, it's about almost 50 crore people that you are touching with this project. Never happened in the history of India. Even during independence, we don't have that many people. So I think it's time, but it's an opportunity for India to seize this moment to modernize the education system and where the world looks to educate in India. So now with no further delay, Professor Kattimani's technical issues are resolved. Please, MCs, introduce Professor Kattimani one more time.
Dr. T.V. Kattimani completed his graduation in his mother tongue, Kannada, and his post-graduation in Hindi language and literature. He was taught in Karnataka University, Dharwad, and Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad. He served as Vice Chancellor of Indira Gandhi National Tribal University in Madhya Pradesh from January 2014 to December 2019. He has been honored by both national and state governments for his contribution in the field of education. He is trained in tribal languages, culture, literature, music, art, and medicinal practices. It is my honor to invite Dr. T.V. Kattimani to deliver his keynote address.
Thank you, Sai. Namaskar, Dr. Hari Ipanapalli. Am I audible now? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm so sorry. National education policy is very much spoken about equity and inclusion in higher education as well as primary education. It's talking about socio-economically disadvantaged groups too. See, it speaks about open up possibilities that can lift both individuals as well as communities out of the cycles of disadvantages, making quality primary education as well as higher education opportunities available to all, especially socially, economically disadvantaged communities. The dynamics and also many reasons for exclusion of ACDs from the education system are common across school and higher education sector also, because of poverty, inaccessibility, and everything. NEP approach to equity and inclusion are common across school and higher education. Furthermore, there must be continuing across the stages to ensure sustainable reform also. NEP speaks about certain facets of exclusion which are more intense in higher education. To address that, to include lack of knowledge of higher education opportunities, economic opportunities, cost of pursuing higher education, financial constraints, then admission processes. We have seen the admission processes, how it will be helpful at Amarkantak model, geographical and language barriers, poor employability, potential of many higher education programs, lack of appropriate student support mechanisms, additional actions for steps to be taken by government. Even NEP is talking about that. Earmark suitable government funds for the education of ACDGs, set clear target of higher education for GER, enhance gender balance in admission to HECs, establishment of quality, high quality higher education institutions, aspirational districts. We have 115 aspirational districts in the country, spread out in 28 states, special education zones. Higher education can teach in local and Indian languages also. Higher education institutions in Indian languages and even bilingual. Scholarships and fellowships to public as well as private students of institutions, outreach programs on higher education opportunities and scholarships, develop and support technology tools and for better participation and learning outcomes. See, about rural students and socially and economically deprived students also, NEP has spoken about that, talking about that. At the same time, education institutions who are established in rural areas, NEPs is talking about that, and even a group of institutions can work together to uplift the students, mitigate opportunity costs and fees for pursuing higher education, financial assistance and fellowships, conduct of outreach and opportunities and scholarships. For Delhi students or urban students, there is no problem about talking about conduct of outreach programs regarding opportunities and fellowships, scholarships. But in rural area, we should be we should do that. More inclusive admission processes also, make curriculum more inclusive. Develop degree courses in Indian languages and bilingual system also. At the same time, buildings and facilities are wheelchair accessible and disabled friendly too. Bridge courses for students that come from disadvantaged educational backgrounds. Socio-emotional academic support and mentoring all such students through suitable counseling too. Mentoring programs, sensitization of faculty, counselors, and students on gender identity issue, even to include in curriculum also. Enforce no discrimination and anti-harassment rules in the institutions. Develop institutional development plans that contain specific plans for action on increasing participation from socio-economically disadvantaged groups. From SEDGs, including but not limited to the above items, even in primary section. Thank you very much. Sorry for interruption. Thank you.
No, not at all, sir. Thank you. Don't feel sorry for it. And we all go through it. And there are a lot of rains happening in India, we can understand. And some of our live show also got interrupted because of the internet connectivity. But this is the real life. And that's what we are trying to solve, to educate people and through internet and make sure that the bandwidth is enough in India. I think 5G is coming. That should not be a problem. It will increase the speed and the capacity, and the latency is less than 1 millisecond. So I think we will be approaching a real life situation. But sincerely appreciate your involvement even after your retirement as the Vice Chancellor. So you took the role to be part of this new education policy draft. And we are blessed to have you here for sharing your insights, and we'll continue to be in touch. Anything that Lead India Foundation can do, we are already in touch with the minister, but we will be happy to include all the proceedings, and that can help in the implementation plan, as Dr. Reddy Subramaniam mentioned. That is the main essence. The focus next is to how do we implement this? How do we make sure that it reaches the nook and corner of India? As Dr. Maram said, 35 crore people, which is a very, very mind-boggling number in a crowded space. And on top of it, our education system should evolve in such a way the world people come and educate in India. That's the next thing that we need to look into while educating our own people. I think we should be provide the direction to the world now. It's an opportunity for India to rise to that occasion, and we have the brains to do it. And with your kind of support and guidance, I'm sure we can do it. With further no delay, we have our co-host from JNTU Hyderabad, Rector A. Govardhan. MCs, please invite Govardhan, sir.
Yes. Professor A. Govardhan has over 24 years of teaching and research experience. He is a professor of computer science of engineering and the Pro Vice Chancellor and Executive Council member at Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, where he is currently serving as rector. He has earned an engineering degree from Osmania University and completed his PhD at JNTU. Professor Govardhan has earned 31 international and national awards for his work in computer science. A significant one to mention is the Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Excellency Award to recognize his valuable research contributions. It's my honor and privilege to invite Professor A. Govardhan as the co-host of this webinar.
Thank you very much. Distinguished guests and invitees, the host, Dr. Hari Penpalli, other distinguished speakers, Sri Reddy Subramanyam Garu IAS, who is our senior from APRJC Nagarjuna Sagar. Happy to see him here. And Dr. Shakila Shamsu, who is also the OSD from National Education Policy, main convener for the policy making. And Professor Srinivas Kumar Garu, Honorable Vice Chancellor from JNTU Anantapur, Dr. Ravi Ayagari, the other distinguished international speakers, ladies and gentlemen, very good evening to you all. It's indeed a wonderful occasion to see the celebration of Indian education, a complete revamp, to see the total landscape is changed, particularly in the school, primary, secondary, and higher education. And as all the speakers spoke about, the various facets and dimensions of the National Education Policy 2020, which is, moved around the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of, in the transformation of our world, which includes the no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequality, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace and just strong institutions, and partnerships to achieve all these goals. And the whole National Education Policy 2020 moves around this, and all the speakers have shared their experience and expertise in those lines towards building the holistic education, which includes the 9 important types of the quotients which the whole world is talking about in the modern era of education, like adversity quotient, business quotient, creativity quotient, entertainment quotient, emotional quotient, intelligence quotient, job quotient, management quotient, and spiritual quotient. So all the speakers have shared their expertise, their knowledge in all the dimensions of the national education policy. And as rightly mentioned by all the speakers, we have the policy framed now. And yesterday also Honorable Prime Minister of India and HRD Minister, other important speakers, and also the people who led this entire education policy, like Dr. Kasturi Rangan led team, have shared their experiences and the whole philosophy behind this framing national education policy. And it is the summary of this meeting will definitely recommend for the understanding of the whole philosophy of national education policy, and look at all the dimensions and facets of this NEP 2020. So we'll have to take it to all stakeholders first, and to see that they understand its entire spirit. And second thing is to see that how we go about it, how we are going to implement that in different phases, and then what are the other requirements which are to be developed in those lines. And this draft also includes all these principles in terms of its implementation, like implementation of the spirit and intent of the policy will be the most critical matter. And it is important to implement the policy initiatives in a phased manner, as each policy point has several steps, each of which requires the previous steps to be implemented successfully. And prioritization will be important in ensuring optimal sequencing of policy points, and that the most critical and urgent actions are taken up first, thereby enabling a strong base. And comprehensive in implementation will be the key, As this policy is interconnected and holistic, only a full-fledged implementation and not a piecemeal one will ensure that the desired objectives are achieved. Since the education is a concurrent subject, it will need careful planning, joint monitoring, and collaborative implementation between the center and states, and timely infusion of requisite resources like human, infrastructural, and financial at the central and state levels will be the crucial for the satisfactory execution of this policy, and careful analysis and review of the linkages between the multiple parallel implementation steps will be necessary in order to ensure effective retailing of all initiatives. This will also include early investment in some of the specific actions, such as setting up of early childhood care and education infrastructure that will be imperative to ensuring a strong base and a smooth progression for all subsequent programs and actions. So I'm sure there would be a yearly joint reviews of the progress of implementation of the policy in accordance with the targets set for each action will be conducted by designated teams constituted by MHRD and also the states, and reviews will also be shared with the CAB. In the decade of 2030, 40, after 10 years, the entire policy will be in an operational mode, following which another comprehensive review will be undertaken. So in the context, I am once again reminded of a child comes out of a graduate and cries saying that I was born pure and intelligent. I was born pure and intelligent. Education spoiled me. I am sure this National Education Policy 2020 will ensure the child inside everybody that I was born pure and intelligent, and education made me more pure and more intelligent. I'm sure all the speakers have shared their wonderful experience and expertise, and I thank each and every speaker from bottom of my heart. And I'm sure all of us would get connected through this kind of debates and discussions to see that the entire globe becomes a holistic globe, and each individual has got a purpose on this earth. That would be fulfilling experience. Thank you so much for all of you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being the co-host and a wonderful message. And I'm sure you will be part of this implementation. And I'm proud to be part of JNTU alumni, and hosting this event with you is a great honor, sir. Appreciate it. So now we have the next, we are trying to wrap up this session, but we're still waiting for the minister. He's still with the Prime Minister. So I'm waiting, I'm constantly messaging with them. So I would like to invite next our co-host, Professor S. Srinivas Kumar, Vice Chancellor of JNTU Anantapur. Just spend a couple of minutes to thank all the speakers today. Sir, unmute and get answer.
Thank you, Professor Hari Pinapalli, for giving me the opportunity. Indeed, it's an opportunity for us to have a good discussion in the national education policy, which is a very important topic in the Indian context. And the COVID-19 is a very big crisis to the entire country. In such a crisis, and projecting or inaugurating the National Education Policy 2020 by the Honorable Prime Minister is an excellent job done. That is, every crisis can be considered an opportunity for the development. That is what he has proved once again. Indeed, we are very happy for the government move to announce the new education policy 2020. The inaugural keynote speaker, Dr. Achyutam Samanta, has nicely presented about his views, how well the National Education Policy 2020 can be used for the development of the country, in particular the education system. Education system is the backbone for the development of the country. And in such a scenario, how the education system can be changed by the present National Education Policy 2020, in particular both in the school education as well as the higher education, he has presented well by his keynote address. Professor Reddy Subramanian and Professor Shakila Madam, I met him sometimes back in Delhi, and they are really excellent people, both of them. And heartfully, I thank Dr. Hari Pinapalli for inviting both of them to be in this particular webinar. They are wonderfully performed during their tenure at MHRD. Heartfully, I thank Professor Reddy Subramanian as well as Shakila Madam, who have wonderfully performed and they have executed their duties so nicely. Today, whatever the national education policy that has come, there is a major role that has been given by both Reddy Subramanian Garu as well as Shakila Madam. And heartfully, it happened to meet several times Kasturi Ranganji as well as Dr. Sridhar and Dr. Ramachandran and Dr. Anurag Behar. And these are the people, and Dr. Kattimani, these are the people who have performed very well in drafting the national education policy. And recently we have organized a Technical University Vice Chancellor Conclave at Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Anantapur. During that time, Professor Ramchandra has come to JNTU Anantapur. He explained what the national education policy and what the ideas behind in drafting the national education policy 2020. Heartfully, we thank Reddy Subramanian Garu and as well as Shakila Madam for giving the necessary inputs. And their presence has elevated the status of this particular webinar. And Dr. Professor Govardhan, and he is my good friend, he's a young boy, and really he is going to be a new leader for the national, for the Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Hyderabad. Heartfully, I congratulate him for his nice words. And many distinguished speakers are there, and Professor Karsidappa, he is a Visvesvaraya Technological University Vice Chancellor, and he has detailed discussion about the national education policy. Indeed, has provided good insight, and heartfully we thank him, sir. And Professor Mauritius and Professor Ruchi Diana and Professor TV Kattimani and many other distinguished speakers who are reputed internationally. They have provided excellent insight into the national education policy 2020. I'm sure that there are many implementation challenges like that, and many implementation challenges. But I'll take some other time to discuss with a positive thinking, with in particular with Reddy Subramanian Garu, with Shakila Madam. I'll try to find the opportunity and to discuss with them as a Vice Chancellor of Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Anantapur, and also as a person who is involved in the academics for the last 34 years, both in Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Kakinada, as well as at Anantapur. And I would like to discuss in particular the technical education, how the technical education can be changed in view of this national education policy to tune to the requirements of the nation. How well we can make it is so far we are interested in a interdisciplinary approach. Now this national education policy is trying to plan for an interdisciplinary approach and a multidisciplinary approach in the education system. And that is a wonderful thing. Definitely it is acceptable. And I invite it. But still, how well this can be, the curriculum is to be designed. That is really a challenging task. And that challenging task, how well we can win in this country, that is what we have to think about. And definitely, I'm sure that India will be a developing country and it will be a developed country. And I'm sure in future will provide a good education, and the development of the country depends upon the quality of the citizens, and the quality of the citizens depends on the quality of the education, and the quality of the education depends upon the quality of the teachers, and the quality of the teachers depends upon the quality of the teacher education. Thereby the teacher education is also given to be emphasis. And I'm sure 3 crores of the teachers as per the requirement are required. They should be trained well, and they should be provided good knowledge, skill set, as well as a value-based system. Already Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Anantapur, we have introduced not only the curriculum, and also we have created a platform to provide the necessary skill sets. A skilled students should come out of the institution. And also we started a new course, that is universal human values, as a part of our curriculum. As a part of our curriculum, we are giving 2 credits for the universal human values and professional ethics. And thereby, the knowledge, skill set, human values are equally important. How well we can do it with a multidisciplinary approach, with an interdisciplinary approach. That is what we have to think. I'm sure that we will succeed in implementing the national education policy. And we are very heartfully thank Hari Penapalli ji for conducting such a nice event. And he is a philanthropist, and heartfully we thank Dr. Hari Penapalli. Would like to see many such collaborations in future too, to see that many occasions of this sort should come, and we should discuss at length in future. Thank you very much. Thank you very much once again to all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. You covered a lot more than I expected you to cover, but I appreciate it. So now our next co-host is Dr. Karisiddappa, is the Vice Chancellor of the Visvesvaraya Technology University. Please turn on your speaker and say a few words, sir. Most of the things are covered, but you could thank more time. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, I think a very good takeaway from this webinar. And also, we are blessed to be under this foundation, which is named after former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Memorial Global Webinar. In short, I think India is gearing up to implement the kind of administration and the leaders we are at the center and various state governments. India is going to implement this policy with micro level planning and very good IDPs at various levels. And webinars like this will continue to inspire and also make more meaningful discussions to prepare implementation plans from school level to the higher education institution level. So let me thank all the chief guests and guest speakers and supporting organizations, media partners, and also the co-host and Visvesvaraya Technological University, Belagavi, Karnataka, India is one of the largest technological universities with more than 220 engineering colleges under its umbrella. I think we were very fortunate to be co-host of this webinar, and on behalf of all my faculty and authorities and my colleagues, I wish to place on my sincere thanks to Dr. Hari. I think Dr. Hari's opinion on the university and also his constant perseverance and also constant instruction given to me and my team to organize this global webinar along with Professor Srinivas Kumar, Vice Chancellor of JNTA and JNTA Hyderabad. I think we were blessed to have this kind of association, sir. I think this kind of association will continue, and with the kind of thinking and definitely with kind of views expressed by the various speakers from across the globe. Definitely India will have its own education model which is acceptable globally, and definitely India will be an education destination for all global students. And thank you very much, sir. I also thank all the MCs who are so wonderful, and the entire team of Dr. Hari sir. And once again, on behalf of my university, I personally thank Dr. Hari and all the participants of this program from various countries and also various friends from India, and especially from Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, this part of India. And it was very wonderful. I think we have had a very meaningful discussion, and definitely this will help us in our micro level planning to implement the new national education policy with full spirit and content so that we achieve something best in the days to come. Thank you very much, sir. Personally, I thank Hari sir and his team.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to get to know you in a short period of time, but it's amazing. Between our three co-hosts, just for the viewer's sake, JNTU Hyderabad has got 230 colleges. Anantapur has got over 160 colleges. And Sir Karisiddappa just mentioned it's about 200 plus. So we are about close to 600 colleges attending today with their students, and imagine the number of faculty, staff, and students watching this show today with these three luminaries leading that effort. It's amazing to have collaborated with, I think Dr. Kalam, one of the things he told me was collaborate with the like-minded organizations to put this mission forward. So he's an amazing person, and I'm glad to have worked with him. Thank you for joining us today. It's an amazing day, especially for India to shine through this education. Knowledge is the power. And I think we have an opportunity to do that. So now the minister just sent me a message. He is still in a meeting with the Prime Minister, Dr. Kasturi Rangan and Dr. Vijay Raghavan. So he said, "Dear Dr. Hari Ipanapaliji, I feel sorry that I missed the opportunity today to address an extremely knowledgeable audience. please convey my regret to all those who are present today. In fact, I wanted to talk about the new education policy of our government, which is actually as per the vision. Sir, can you go on mute, sir? Dr. Hari Krishna Maram. Technical team, please put Dr. Hari Krishna Maram on mute. So, can you make me on the screen? Okay. So thank you very much again. I just wanted to convey this message of the minister. Actually, as per the, let me read this again one more time. So this is the message from technical team. Can you put on the speaker mode, please? Dr. Srinivas Kumar, can you go on mute? KCR, Lalesh. Okay, let me continue. So this is a message from our Honorable Minister for Education. Dear Dr. Hari Ipnapalji, I feel sorry that I missed the opportunity today to address an extremely knowledgeable audience. Please convey my regret to all those who present today. In fact, I wanted to talk about the new education policy of our government, which is actually as per the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, who has always wanted to bring about major reforms in the Indian education system. While writing this, I am sitting with Sri Kasturi Rangan ji, the Chief Architect of the new education policy, and with Sri Vijay Raghavan, who is Principal Scientific Advisor to Honorable Minister. We are now in the process of working out the nitty-gritty details of the implementation of the new education policy. As this high-level committee meeting has not ended yet, I may request you to arrange the webinar in one more time for me with the same enlightened audience so that I can make up for today. I assure you that the new education policy will enthrall each one of you as well as people across the world, because it is not old wine in a new bottle, but a completely new and innovative policy focused on vocational innovation, scientific, digital, experimental, holistic, granting a new lease of life to our new generations and at par with the best in the world. Many, many thanks for bearing with me today. My best regards to all the participants. Thank you so much. This is the message the Honorable Minister has conveyed. He regrets because he is really, really working out the details of the new education policy as we speak, and sitting with Dr. Kasturi Rangan and Dr. Vijay Raghavan and other committee members. So I would like to again, one more time, thank everybody. So we have extended the event by 1 hour because I didn't want to interrupt the speakers when they are really talking about the meaningful subjects that is relevant to this topic. Every speaker that we selected today has a unique ability to contribute and offer a constructive feedback to implement in a meaningful way the new education policy Government of India has come up with. This has been done. It's a bold step by the Honorable Prime Minister and the Education Minister and all the people who worked behind it. After 34 years, they made one attempt. And this attempt will truly mark history in the world because India has the knowledge, India has the manpower, and COVID has enlightened us how we could unleash this knowledge. There are a pool of people, especially take, for example, IITs. If you take any of the top 20 companies, the CEOs, chairmen are graduates of IITs, and that is the cream of India. And if with only like a 15% of the people going to higher education, imagine if we raise that to 25% or 50%, how India will shine. So this is the moment that we have to seize, and the world is looking for our knowledge pool. It's not what we earn, but it's what we can make a difference in this world. And I was one of the keynote speakers when Dr. Kalam was a chief guest in Hyderabad. And in that session, I mentioned the person who gives the most should be the richest, not the person who accumulates the most. And knowledge is such that there is a nachora haryam, nacha raja haryam, na bhratrubhajyam, nacha bharakari, vyaye krute vardata eva nityam, vidyadhanam sarvadhana pradhanam. So every like the thieves cannot steal this, and rajas cannot come and take it away. And as you spend this knowledge, and this is the only one grows, and you will be respected no matter where you go when you have the knowledge. You are invited today. We invited all of you because of your knowledge, not because I do not know how much bank balance you have, how many acres of land you have. I do not know, but I know that you have the wealth of knowledge and you have the courage to make a difference in this world. I think that's the reason we invited you all. And Dr. Kalam believed strongly in knowledge. And his dream was to create as many Bharat Ratnas as possible. And the Lead India Foundation is very much committed to collaborate with all of you to see, even we need at least few of the Bharat Ratnas like Dr. Kalam to make a true difference in this world. I think somebody was mentioning a couple of days ago, 3 people like Kalam can transform India, and 33 people like Kalam can transform the whole world. I think it's time. All the 33 could be coming from India because of the new education policy. I think your dedication and commitment and wisdom, all the experiences combined together, the kind of people we have drafting in this new education policy. And we are very fortunate to have some of those people, Dr. Kattimani and Dr. Shakila, who really made this happen, and Dr. Reddy Subramaniam, whom I met in person, amazing person. He's so humble, yet he delivers. And he was accessible. I met him on the January 24th, 2 years ago, and he was busy with the Republic Day celebrations. He said, Hariji, I'm busy, but for you, please stop by at 4:30 p.m. And I went there, and he was very kind to spend half an hour, but that made a difference. And he implemented the Swayam Prabha. And I'm on the board of JNTU Hyderabad, and one of the meetings I was mentioning, every professor should publish at least one course on the Swayam platform. So that can truly go a long way, because the people who do not have access or the ability to go into a college or school, they have internet everywhere, they have smartphones everywhere, they can access this. I think that is what we have to cultivate. Professors don't do this as a job, but do with passion. And you are the one going to transform and mold this next generation into responsible citizens who can truly preserve and protect this planet for future generations and bring peace and harmony into the society. Enlightened souls are the one which will truly transform this world. I think you are the power, as all the professors are here, and you can take charge and constantly have some motivational, inspirational lectures with your faculty so that they don't get distracted. I'm sure each one of us are having our own family life and other personal issues. But when it comes to delivering things, we need to stay focused, because the impact is huge. And we need to prepare not just the technocrats, bureaucrats, but we need to prepare leaders also. I think there has to be emphasis in the Indian education system, morals and ethics, and also politics. There has to be a strong emphasis on how do we generate a meaningful leadership that can drive these initiatives with an open and broad mind, and inclusive leadership. That's what we need. Today, what is happening is, if one person is growing and the other person is trying to chop them off, I think that is what is happening. They don't realize that if I can grow with them, I can also grow, or you can compete with him to be better than him. Take that as in a positive way, rather than putting in a negative way and investing your time and putting that other guy down, rather than investing in your own to grow. I think this kind of mindset, there has to be a lot more different courses to offer the life skills, how to be human being. Most of our problems in this society are because we're drifting away from nature. I'll tell you one small example. If you watch very closely, the vegetarian animals, they drink water like human beings with the lips. Just pay attention to next time when you see a cow or a buffalo drinking water, and see also a cat, a dog, or a tiger, or a lion drinking water. So they lick with the tongue the water, whereas the vegetarian animals drinks with the lips like we do. So our body is made to be vegetarian as human beings, but we are not using it properly. We are putting like a diesel in a petrol car, and that's the reason we are having a lot of these health issues. I think simple concept, sinking in living in harmony with the nature will address a lot of problems. And COVID is one of the classic examples of that. And that is, it is good, very amazing to see. We are telling people to wash hands, right? And COVID is making us to do that, but it is supposed to be part and parcel of our daily living, daily life. I think these are the simple things. I don't want to take too much of your time. It is already 1:02 p.m., but wonderful to meet all of you. And I would like to wholeheartedly thank the entire panel of speakers. They have amazing background, amazing commitment, and especially the speakers who came from various other countries who are passionate about our country. They're looking forward to see India grow, and they want to offer their help voluntarily. For example, Professor Manuel from Spain, he volunteered to be the chairperson for drafting the proceedings of the webinars. And he came out of himself, and I really appreciate. And Professor Govardhan, also from JNTU, he created this higher education proceedings committee, Professor Srinivas Kumar, and recently acquaintance to Dr. Karisiddappa, and various other speakers, Dr. Reddy Subramaniam. So I can go on and name every person, which is already covered by our co-host, Professor Srinivas Kumar. I don't want to repeat again, but I'm very grateful to have acquainted with you, and I will continue to work with you. And this is the dream Dr. Kalam wanted to realize, and he wanted to see this happening. And I'm very happy to see that during my interactions, these are the kind of things Dr. Kalam mentioned. My last meeting with Dr. Kalam was on December 30th, 2014 in Delhi around 9 p.m. And he wanted me to host a seminar in US in association with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And he wanted to come and inaugurate that session. Unfortunately, he passed away, but we still went ahead and did that session on October 17, 2015. So he mentioned, Hariji, let's provide affordable quality healthcare to keep India healthy, affordable quality education to keep India educated, preserve and protect this planet for future generations, and let's bring some peace and harmony by developing spiritual families. So these are the 4 founding pillars of the Lead India movement, and Lead India Foundation is very much committed with all of your support to move Dr. Kalam's vision and mission forward. And he is up there watching all of us and blessing all of us, inspiring all of us to do what is needed for this world, not just for India. I think it's an opportunity for India to rise, to fill the gap of all the issues of the world. And we have the manpower. By 2027, it is projected that India will cross Chinese population. So we need to equip ourselves to support our growth in terms of population, as well as take the responsibility of feeding the world in terms of knowledge and manpower. I think it is going to happen. And this is the dream I want to see in my lifetime. And I'm glad to see that it is happening with all of your continued support and guidance. May God bless you all. Please take care of yourself. Be safe. You are needed to the world more than you are needed to yourself. Please, this is important moment. The corona is not sparing anybody, irrespective of what is their status and all the resources they have. So only way it is stay away from it and be careful in every interaction that you do. And hopefully this will end. But now time to all of your creative brains to think, how do we prevent from future pandemics? How do we prepare ourselves? How do we prepare our people to take precautions? And also, if such thing strikes again, how do we address it? How before it spreads? Let's do some preventive care. Let's think of doing some genetics, think of doing a lot of data analytics, think of coming up with a natural way of handling these things, immunity boosters. So Lead India, what we are doing is for every webinar, there's a registration process. So we have totally close to the 50,000 people registered on our website, and we are reaching out to them to volunteer. We are providing an orientation training for how do we protect yourself and how do we protect your family and friends from COVID. And we are also partnering with several other homeopathy and naturopathy and Ayurvedic doctors who have prepared immunity boosting kit that can be given to each person. Dr. Ashok from Warangal actually is supposed to be on the call because of the number of speakers. I wanted to push him to the next week. And there's another doctor from Bangalore also volunteered. So many people are coming forward to offer their time, talent, and training to continue to protect our society and our people. So we will work with you and continue to stay in touch. And I will take leave now. Thank you so much. Wonderful to meet
Thank
you
you, sir.
all. Have a good evening, good night, good day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.